Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Appa in case you guys are new here, and today we are going to be talking a little bit about NCLEX changes and also licensing changes as well. So first thing first, I do want to say that I hope that you guys are staying safe in your states wherever you are, or whether you're outside of the United States. I hope that you are staying safe in your apartment, house, dorms. Well, dorms are no longer happening, Appa. But anyways, just staying inside with your family and just staying safe. But yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm not really, my state is the state of Ohio, so we're not really that bad as like New York and California, but we're still kind of in the middle of like, Illinois and New York. We're actually pretty close to them. And we do have a significant number of cases, I would say around 4,000 cases possibly by now. And we are running out of beds, and I have a story to tell you about that. So I actually went to my campus 2 or 3 days ago to like get my stuff, and they were like moving a lot of things, and I was like very confused when I got there. There were so many people like moving furniture and just making a lot of room on the first and second floor, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I know that we are closed, but why are they moving stuff? And then later I was told by one of my clinical instructors that one of the hospital is actually, they're suspecting running out of beds like next week, and that's why they're turning our campus into a hospital ward pretty much. And they're not gonna keep COVID patients there, but they are gonna keep other patients, because obviously there are other types of emergencies other than COVID, even though COVID right now is a priority. We live in a world where there are constantly emergencies, whether it's burns, trauma, whatever, and we need to keep those inpatients coming in as well and keeping them safe as well. So they've just decided to use our campus, our entire building, as like an overflow for the hospital. And I just was like, wow, this is really real. At that point I was just kind of like, wow, this is kind of crazy. Like, I really was not anticipating that happening, especially in the state of Ohio, but the fact that it did happen was really a warning to me that I really need to like stay home, and while I'm staying home, just like focusing on things that need to be done, especially preparing for this license exam. So I thought I should like mention that. So talking of licensing, I do want to mention that certain states are offering temporary licenses. I think this is based on like how bad your state is. Not all states are doing it. There are selected states. I'm pretty sure Texas, Ohio, and New York and California are some of the states that are definitely for sure doing that. You kind of have the option at this point. I'm not quite sure about New York, but I know in Ohio you kind of have the option to do it if you want to. You don't have to. It's not like a Call of Duty for, you have to do it because we're just running out of people to take care of these patients. It's nothing like that. It's more like, yeah, we need more people in healthcare right now, and here's an option. And because we can't have this X amount of number of students just waiting for their licenses in order to work, we're just gonna let you work. So that is kind of the situation here in Ohio. I'm not quite sure about other states that are doing this, but I know for a fact in states like New York and California, it's more like we just need more people in order to take care of these patients. And I hope I'm making some sense. It's definitely like not as bad in like, especially in the Northeast Ohio area, where it's like we just need more people, we're just gonna push you to work. Like, that's not the case here. But I feel like in New York and California, that actually might be the case. Don't quote me on it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. This doesn't just apply to nursing students. This also like applies to advanced practice and also medical students and other related healthcare professionals like PAs and stuff, like they're doing it for a lot of different professions. They have also like suspended like collaborative agreement for nurse practitioners in certain states, like for instance like Wisconsin. Like all of those laws are like canceled temporarily. Like now they're just able to see, you know, patients independently, literally like anywhere in all of Wisconsin. So just because the healthcare system is like so stressed, they have made that change. How do I really feel about nurses, medical students, all of that getting temporary licenses? What are my opinions on it? Honestly, this can be a good and a bad thing. I will say that because, for instance, let's say if you're like a really good clinician and if you're just able to, you know, get it super quickly in your head how you want to treat these patients and just like practice, do that for 6 months, 3 months, whatever. You know, it's a good thing that you're helping out, but at the same time, you do have to take that license exam eventually. So because the testing centers are like, you know, opening up maybe by like late June, early July, I think it's better to just get the license and then go out and help. Just because I feel like you're just gonna forget a lot of the stuff which is on the license exam eventually. Like later on, I feel like, you know, once it's like fresh in your mind, you can still just take the test and be okay for whatever. I think the nursing license is for like 2 years. You renew it every 2 years. And yeah, once you have that actual test, once you have taken that actual test, have the permanent license, I guess you can call it, then you can just, you know, move on and not have to worry about taking that test later on once you're practicing or once you are continuing with let's say advanced practice. Like for me, that's the case. Like I can take advanced practice courses. For instance, like I can take advanced assessment, advanced patho without the RN license, but then eventually I do need that RN license for, you know, taking some other nurse practitioner classes. So this license is very, very important. If you really need to, absolutely need to, like you don't have an option but to just do it, I feel like go ahead and get this temporary license and then take the test later on. But just keep in mind that once you start practicing, things will get a little bit different. You will have your own way of thinking really rather than the NCLEX way of thinking. So it's actually not a bad idea to like wait until, you know, June and July to take the test and just have that permanent license. Now, talking of testing, there has been some significant amount of changes in terms of like test centers from Pearson Review, which is the, you know, the company which holds the NCLEX and NCSBN. I think that's another one company, and they are both kind of collaborating with each other and, you know, running the test and stuff. So from my understanding, they did go ahead and open up a bunch of test centers. I don't really know where these test centers are, but they did go and do that on March 25th. Today is April 4th when I'm filming this. And as of now, at least in the Cleveland area, there are no test centers open in the month of April. So this is very, very dependent on the location. And I have this feeling, because I learned this from another YouTuber, I will link her video down in the description box, and she said that it's not just the United States where they have opened up this test centers. They're saying it's North America, so that's including Canada, and this is for the RN exam and the PN exam, so LPNs. And from my understanding, it's mainly in like the larger cities and the cities which have been affected more by the COVID-19. So that's my understanding that I got from that other video, and doing my research is only certain cities these test centers are open. Like I said, there's like none open in Cleveland as of now. I think there are some open in Columbus, and if I really have to go to Columbus, I will go ahead and do that. I do have a car, and if I do have to go, I will just go to Columbus and take my test over there. That way I will get to see another city in Ohio, and that would be kind of fun. But if I do have to go to Columbus, so be it, because I do have to take this test eventually, whether I'm working as an RN, whether I'm going into advanced practice, whether I'm becoming a nurse anesthetist. Any type of nurse honestly needs this license, and it's important to just have it. And doesn't matter if you're like working in your advanced practice or not, like you are still working on the basis of this license, if that makes any sense. So that is one of the changes, is that certain test centers have been opened, and then the testing time and the number of questions that you're gonna get. So from my understanding, the minimum number of questions before this entire thing happened was about 75 to 235, I believe, and now it's 60 to 130 questions. And the maximum testing time now is 4 hours. It was a little bit over 4 hours before, from my understanding. So significant change, but at the same time, the level of difficulty has not changed. So I don't really know how I feel about it, because when I look at something, I'm like, okay, if I'm getting more test questions, I just have a higher chance of getting more questions right, or I could get them wrong. But that's kind of how I feel, because they really have not really changed the difficulty level as well. So I'm kind of like, I really just have mixed feelings about that. And I really hope that it's not harder and I do pass it when I do take it. And it's just interesting to see that the level of difficulty, even with so much stress in the environment, they really just have not changed that. I think they are really being ethical about this. I think they're just making it so that it's fair to those who have already taken this test in the past. And I think that's what they're kind of going off of. But let's be real, the class of 2020 is not the same as other years, because no one has experienced a legit pandemic. I mean, yeah, we did have, you know, like the swine flu, but honestly that wasn't even that bad, and Ebola, and it never really got that bad, especially here in North America. So my mom was actually telling me the story, and she told me when she was like 5 years old, basically what happened was they were putting, you know, black markings or just covering up their windows, really having everything black so that people wouldn't think that someone was living in their house or anything. That's the only big thing that happened in her lifetime. And I just think it's interesting. Like, I don't think in my lifetime, I don't think I've definitely experienced anything like this. But moving forward, no next generation NCLEX question. So I believe the next generation NCLEX question was more to do with the new form of NCLEX. That's something that we like learned about in our classes, that they are changing the format of NCLEX starting in the fall, I believe, I think, or for 2021, something like that. But they're not going to have those questions, and thank God they're not doing the format changing, because that would really throw us off, especially people graduating this year, because we have been doing this certain style of questions. And if they are going to completely change it, that's going to throw off a lot of people, like in terms of like attaining their license. So some of you guys might be interested in like what I'm doing in terms of like getting the Ohio license, the temporary license, and would I be sitting for the NCLEX later on in the fall? And the answer is probably not. I think I am going to be just studying like I had planned to take this test in July. I'm not going to change my mind about that. Just take it in July, just call it good. And that way I have that license for 2 years. And you guys, I just feel like if I wait longer, I'm not going to do well. And that's something I'm like really, really afraid of, because I have been working to get here, to get this license for the past 2 years. And yeah, if you really need to go and start working, go ahead and do it. But just keep in mind that taking the test now would be a little bit smarter than like waiting later on. Like you could still work, still take the test, but don't wait until too long, if that makes any sense. Unless there's like a mandatory requirement for me to actually get that license and start helping out in the ICUs and ERs and in the hospital here in the Northeast Cleveland area, I probably wouldn't get that temporary license and just immediately start doing it, because I just feel like I need that license in the long run anyway, so I might as well, do it right now when my mind is being trained to take that test. That test is really, really important. I feel like for me personally, if I was to take that test when I'm doing advanced practicing, that would like mess it up. So I really just want to go ahead, take it in June, July, and then move on with more school in the fall. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys are doing, what you guys are thinking. Are you able to sit for the test in the next couple of months? What is the situation in your state? I would be really, really interested to know that. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.